Hello and welcome all. We are very happy to present for you today about a new design for design education. We'll talk about a design course we have been developing at the Institute of Advanced Design Studio, or ADES for short. The course is called Advanced Design for Sustainability, and its aim is to go beyond making greener designs, concepts, or products, and reach a change in how you think while designing. And as a consequence, to adapt our current organizations and systems to a world led by principles of ecology, sustainability, and resilience. About ADES, it's a young organization operating in the field of design education and research for sustainability. My name is Judit Boros, and I am responsible for course development. And Karina Vissonova is here with me, the founding director of the Institute, and she's going to start the presentation. So Karina, the floor is yours.
Thanks, Judith. Thank you. So let's get into this. So we are accustomed to thinking that having clean water coming from your tap, or having affordable transport taking you to work and to your holidays, or having access to books, or stuff that makes you comfortable, comfort in your home. That's all kind of part and norm of our Western world. And in fact, we kind of think that should be norm globally. Yet how much we truly are aware that access to clean water is no longer to be a norm for much longer. In fact, according to the planetary boundaries, if you have seen on this before, we also presenting that on the slide. This was developed by the Stockholm Resilience Center. So I do recommend you look into this. So according to the planetary boundaries, we have already overcapacitated our planet's ability to provide the necessary resources for our survival, as well as we have overcapacitated our planet's ability to cope with the pollution heavy activities we are sort of imposing on our Earth. So while we are looking at design as a profession that will bring about the green transition, as we are very fond of saying that now in European Union, the design discipline is still treated as a commercial art form or a creative industry with no real weight or say in the matters. But design is not creative practice nor a commercial art form. It is ultimately the practice, the products of which make up the material well-being, not only in Europe, but also globally. And let me give you some simple examples. Think of medical equipment or transport or your homes and buildings. The underlying activity that leads to all these essentials of our material well-being is design. And more importantly, ethical solutions that do not bring injustice or harm into our world is the code and requirement of all design practices, be it urban or fashion or industrial design. Today, the same applies to sustainable solutions. Sustainability should be a code and requirement threading through fashion design, engineering, etc., etc., etc. So the conditions for design to generate value for the society and the environment are the same across its industrial practices. And this is how we approach the new design of design education. There's a clear need for division of design knowledge when it comes to teaching and learning industry practices, so graphic design or engineering and so on. But to teach designers to influence change, this particular division is no longer necessary. In fact, in today's world, where biologists and engineers work together with designers and artists to create products adequate to our resource-scarce reality, design becomes not the agency merely responsible for delivering solutions matched to society's needs, but the disciplinary practice investigate the most pressing issues. And I would quote here one of our lecturers, Dan Lockton: designers today contribute to society as transdisciplinary translators of complex multi-layered issues. So we arrived to a new conception of design education as a platform for preparing a certain skill force to work across disciplines and contexts, to investigate issues and to offer methods of thought that have the true capacity to address the complexity of the station we have got ourselves into. And if you're wondering what is the complexity we have got ourselves into, just try to imagine what our economic system will look like in 5 to 10 years with increasing devastation caused by the climate change. Are our consumption capacities and patterns the same? Can we keep producing the same masses of products even though we have circular economy principles in place? Well, if you think about it. So for the new role, sorry, you did one back. We're not there yet. So for the new role of design, so for the new role of design, a new education must be adapted. And while we are pioneers in design education for sustainability, we are not pioneers in design education. Sorry, Judit, and now, thank you.
Okay.
This title goes to widely popular Ulm School of Design. They were established right in the end of the post-war period in 1953. And their idea was to take advantage of the new post-war situation where technologies invented for the war suddenly became available for the other applications. New housing was needed, new products, new processes. In the presence of multi-layered complexity of the challenges their time was facing, the early group of Ulm gathered mathematicians, architects, philosophers, designers, and prominent artists of the time together to generate and to offer transdisciplinary environment for teaching and learning the new role of design. Judit, I give the word to you now.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, so one of the most important aspects of our educational model is that it's based on a transdisciplinary approach, which is not the same as a multidisciplinary approach that takes the lenses of different disciplines to examine a problem, or the interdisciplinary methods that are based on a dialogue between disciplines. In simple terms, transdisciplinary is a holistic approach that merges knowledge from different disciplines and traditions, and that creates new knowledge fusions. Because now there is a growing understanding that sustainability measures require such an approach, both in practice and in ways of knowing, to enable you to apply the generated knowledge in cross-cutting disciplines and industry practices. So at ADES, we take subjects like biomimicry, architecture, engineering, artificial intelligence, anthropology, ecology, economy, and design per se, and channel these into forming new understandings. And besides education, we have a research lab. So for example, we have a fresh Erasmus Plus partnership with the universities of Aalborg, who represents robotics here, and Trento with synthetic biology, and also for arts. And we are developing a transdisciplinary science, art, design, education project called ABRA. But of course, working in a transdisciplinary way doesn't mean that you have to be proficient in all the disciplines, but to be willing to learn from others and cooperate with them. And how we achieve this in our educational model is to rely on our really exceptional circle of guest moderators. Now, I think they are about 30. And it's really a worldwide network of partners within design, technology, biotechnology, natural sciences, arts, and other disciplines. So this is Karina for you. This slide.
Sorry, I'm unmuting myself. Yes, so with this slide, we wanted to show you visually how we designed our course and what, how we structured the complexity of the multiple disciplines, and how we planned the student's journey and the learning process through these different disciplines, because of course the different disciplines come from and are influenced heavily by different knowledge domains. And so we made this graph to kind of make a visual representation of how we designed the course, and also how the students are offered a sense-making friendly learning environment, I would say. So so what we identified 4 knowledge domains, and these you can see on the what is it called? Yes, thank you. So there's a theory, philosophy, applied values, and practice. And so each of these knowledge domains, we have ascribed certain principles, and then we plotted our themed modules into how the learning process, how the learning journey for the students will be, and which knowledge domains will influence in which module, or which modules will be mostly influenced by which knowledge domains and which principles will hence apply. So, for example, in the theory domain, knowledge and expertise are scientific, research-based. It's experimental. Applications are discovery and testing phases. And in the slide, you can see that the knowledge gained from the modules 3 and 5, artificial life and biodesign, will be partly influenced by these principles. And then in philosophy, knowledge is guided by ethics and values. So connected to artistic research, critical thinking, and thought experiments. Consequently, here the subjects of artificial life, tribalism will heavily draw on these principles, and potentially the module projects will relate to these principles as well. And in the applied values domain, so the knowledge relates to social norms, draws on beliefs and traditions, and does not follow a standard disciplinary practice, if you like, or theoretical experiment even. And applications are localized based on a given set of values. Here you can see that what we will investigate and create within the themes, sustainability and tribalism, will be heavily influenced by these principles. And in practice domain, knowledge is gained by hands-on method, accepting trial and error. Applications are iterative designs and technological improvements. And lastly, the module 5 and partly module 2, so Bio Design and Sustainability, will provide us with the tools and methods that are based on hands-on actions, not as much concerned with the more ideological or value-related principles. So yeah, I think I'll give word back to Judit.
Okay, I just want to reflect on our journey here, which I didn't actually realize that it's a journey, but we have it in a spiral. But of course, we also have it in a linear way, so to make it more structured and to be able to work with. But we wanted to give this presentation in a way that we are talking about the course, but also about how we approached it and how we designed it. So how we arrived to the outcome, basically. So the study program is built on these 5 theme-based modules, starting with thinking design, then sustainability, resilience, and ecology, and then artificial life and sustainability, tribalism, and future social studies. Future social structures, and then biodesign and the world of growing things. And together, these face the most pressing environmental and social challenges that then we can address with design-based inquiries. But of course, we planned this before COVID as a one-year course, but then we had to change plans. So now the modules are offered as standalone modules in virtual studies, so in online learning. And it was an interesting learning experience for us too. For one, it was a real test for our own adaptability and resilience. And I think that we can say that we are a highly resilient organization that you can hear a lot about in today's talks too, like how organizations can face unforeseen challenges and how they can cope with them. And for 2, it's also allowed us to be able to offer a more customizable program for students, because we realized that, yes, there are students who want to take the full course, but others want to join only for 1 or 2 or 3. So it gave us additional ways to draw in and engage prospective students, actually, in the end. Okay, so how does a module look like? We have lectures and workshops online that are blended or mixed with dedicated time for individual research time and group work that students have to use to work on the module project. In the case of module 1, which is called Thinking Design, we start with introductory talks and readings with design, philosophy of design and technology. Then students will have to formulate their own take of the topics through writing first, because that's the first level of sense making, and we give them support in the form of a writing workshop in the genre of popular science. Then they will advance their thoughts and work during a design thinking workshop to reach some kind of a design output. And the theoretical parts are going to be held by Cameron Tonkin-Weiss, head of the Design Innovation Research at University of Sydney. His field of expertise is speculative design and transition design, and he'll be talking about design as animism, as a way of conveying to the participants the core concept of affordance, but also that designing is the process of co-evolving socio-technological practices. Then Stéphane Viat, who is a philosopher and clinical psychologist and teaches theory of design and interaction design at the University of Quebec, will further explain design theories with a technique called theory sketches. Then students will work with Adam Lebor, who is an author and journalist and has fiction books about Budapest, which are quite interesting. I also read one. And he's also a writing coach, and he's going to coach the students through the writing techniques. And then Steinar Valad Amlan is a consultant, an expert of the SDGs, the Sustainable Development Goals, and he's working with the EU organizations in that topic. And he was also the head of ICES, the Innovation Center of Danish designers, and he has many other positions. But the point is that he'll guide the students at the end to create the module project, the final design outcome. And this is how, or this is what we were thinking about in terms of presenting about ADES and the course.
Thank you. Thank you.